Hi everybody, this is Charles Tatro. I'm the CAS coordinator here at Checo International School. And this video is intended as a guide for grade level 11 and 12 advisors. And the hope is that this will make it easier for you to use ManageBac to keep track of your advisees' progress through the CAS program. So once you log into ManageBac, the first thing you should see is a dashboard page much like this one. If you want to have a look at how our CAS students are doing, start here. Go to the DP Manager tab and let it float and click on the grade that you're working with. And I want to begin by just talking about what we can see on this page. So if you're Eddie Bywater, you can look at this and see all of the kids in your advisory. And you can see that I've already gone through and rated each of their portfolios with either an excellent trophy cup, a green flag meaning on track, or some will have a red flag that says concern. New changes tells us that there's been some changes we haven't seen yet. That's pretty common. And then these numbers here are telling us about how many interviews they've had. They've all had 3 interviews with me. This is how many pieces of reflection and evidence they have. And this is how many of the CAS outcomes they've met. There are 7, so all these students have met all 7. You can have a look and see all through here and get a sense of what those numbers look like. This is what a student portfolio page looks like to a teacher. You will notice that student portfolio pages look different to them. ManageBac is rolling out a new look and they're starting with students, so teachers haven't yet received that new update. When you first come to the page, you should see the student's name, and right away we should start looking and seeing what it is that they've got in terms of experiences. The name of the experience is here in each one. Just after the name of the experience, you can see whether it's just activity, creativity or service, activity, and so on. The next thing that's important to see is this little colored box. Looks like a Rubik's Cube. That indicates that the student has designated it as a project. As you'll remember, every student needs to do at least one project, which is collaborative and a month long. Projects can only be approved once the students have filled out the project planning form and gone through the interview process. The other important thing to note when you're looking at these experiences is their statuses. This indicates it needs approval, which means I have yet to indicate that I believe it's a worthwhile activity. The thumbs up means that it has been approved, but it has not yet been completed. Completed activities are activities that the student has finished and have been reviewed by the CAS supervisor. Those get a green check mark. And when they've been reviewed, you can see this reviewed box comes up here. I've got some lorem ipsum text in here, but in your examples with your students, you should be seeing descriptions of what these activities are here. If you want to take a look at the reflections and the evidence, just click on the title of the project, and that'll take you into this view. If you look here, you can see the student description. You can see all the learning outcomes that they've identified that they're going to use. And if you look over here, you can see a tab for reflections and evidence. Click that, and it'll bring you to this page. On this page, you'll be able to look through what they've done. You can see them organized by the different outcomes. You can scroll down and basically verify that they've done what it is that they set out to do. This is really important because it's ultimately what we're basing our positive or negative final review of the activity on. The next important thing to see is the timeline. This is really important in terms of determining whether or not the student has a good enough balance in their experiences, and B, any gaps. The students are supposed to be involved in CAS activities over an 18-month period without any really significant gaps. So if you see big breaks here, that's something to address with students. The next area I want to turn your attention to is the outcomes area. This is really important because essentially meeting the outcomes is what determines whether or not the students have passed CAS. You can see that there are 7 of them, and there's a yellow section and a green section. The yellow section is how many times the student has said or planned that they will hit that outcome. Each time they choose an activity, they are asked to identify the outcomes that they will hit. When they choose those, they show up here. When they complete a reflection or evidence that's tagged on that outcome, it will turn green. Ideally, all the yellow should disappear and only be green, meaning that all of the outcomes that were planned to have been hit have been evidenced through reflection. This box here is really important. Please don't click it. That's the box I click when I'm satisfied that they've gotten through the whole program. The CAS documents section here is really important. This is where the students should be putting their CAS project forms. When students come up with an idea for a CAS project, they often just create the project up here, but then don't go on to the next step. And this is really important because we need to make sure that students have approved projects going forward. Because a student can't be considered to have a completed CAS if they don't have a completed project. Projects don't go forward until the students have filled out the form and participated in an interview with me. They can find the form up here under Files, then they take it and fill it out. Once they've filled it out, everybody on the form needs to upload a copy of it to this section using the Upload CAS document. That way we have a record that they've gone through all of the planning process. The last important section is here, and this is going to be a really important section for you guys as advisors. When I conduct my interviews, I put my comments on their progress in this space. This is the one-stop overview of what they've done well and what they need to improve upon. So if you have any questions about what they might need to work on, start here. If you have any comments you want to add, by all means, please do add them here. Don't click this record as interview note because then the students won't be able to see it. Just enter your information here and click Save Note. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I know it's a lot of information, but with practice it becomes much, much easier. Please do let me know if you have any questions or concerns, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.